So, hello and welcome to Intuitive Connection. I'm your host, intuitive counselor, and spiritual guide, Victoria Shaw. And today I wanted to pop on and share about an experience I had the other day watching a basketball game and how interesting it is and how our life can be different or live differently. And I think in a lot of ways, more in a more fulfilling, joyous way when we already know how things are going to work out. And spoiler alert, everything's always working out for you and everything is always okay. And when we know that deep inside, right, life just becomes a really fun adventure that we get to navigate and play and explore, right? But we don't necessarily take it as seriously. And all this came to me. I mean, all of this was reminded to me. I don't know if that's good grammar, but I think you know what I mean. With an experience I had recently watching a basketball game. And unless you've been, probably even if you've been following the show, because this is kind of new, but I have been a fan of the team, the Detroit Pistons, for as long as I can remember. Since I was a little kid, I used to go to games with my family, especially with my dad, and yeah, just my whole family. And sometime I think it was like 2 years of just going to games. We had season tickets before I even saw them win a game, so I was like a diehard fan. And we went a lot throughout my childhood until in the late 80s, early 90s. Finally, we had a winning team. And that was a very exciting time in my life. And then again, in the early 2000s. And again, now they're playing really, really well. And they're leading their division, the Eastern Conference. So that's really, really exciting. And so I've gotten back into watching these games and it's really super fun. One of the bummers is that in the past, when I would watch Pistons games, I was in the same time zone as the Detroit Pistons, the Eastern time zone. And so the majority of the games would be in my time zone or thereabouts. But nowadays, I'm on the West Coast. And so if, my beloved team plays a game at 7:30 p.m., that's 4:30 for me. And I might still be working. I'm trying, but I have to manage all these different facets of my life. So I have taken to watching some of the games on replay. And the first one that I watched on replay is the one that kind of inspired this podcast, but I've watched a couple now that way. And the thing about watching a game on replay, right, is you probably know how it ends, right? Because it already happened. And that was with this first game I watched. It was a phenomenal game between the Detroit Pistons and the Boston Celtics, who are my least favorite team in the NBA. Sorry, Celtics fans, but I've been holding a grudge since the 90s. Go figure. But anyway, if you love the Celtics, I still love you. And so I was watching a phenomenal game. It was a really, really good game. And it was a close game at a lot of times. And so it was like a little bit of some cliffhangery moments. And the thing was, it was a replay. So I knew my team was going to win, right? I knew it was a sure thing. And nonetheless, I really enjoyed the game, the artistry of the game, the even a little bit of like the cliffhanger aspect of the game, even though I knew they were going to win. And friends, if you know anything about me, you may also know that my other favorite thing to do in my spare time is rom-coms and romance novels, right? And what I love about both of those genres, right, is they're happy, feel good, and you know how they're going to end, right? It's always a happy ending, right? And I started thinking about like, what would life be like, right? If everything was like this, right? If we knew in our core it's all going to be okay, there's some ups and downs, there's some problems that, we got to figure out how they're going to get solved, right? But they're going to get solved. It's all going to be okay. And, watching the game and having that experience made it so fun. I wasn't anxious. I wasn't worried because I knew my team was going to win. And of course, look, in the short term in life, we don't always know that things are going to turn out the way that we like. Right. So when I watch a game, say, in my time zone, or when I have the opportunity to start in another time zone, or a lot of times, right, I just catch the second half, which is fine too. and I don't know how it's going to end, right? It may not turn out the way that my mind wants it to. I always want the Pistons to win. I am a huge Pistons fan. Go Pistons, right? But in the deeper scheme of things, right, the truth is it's all working out. It's all working out. And it's all working out for a couple of reasons. One, because everything that you want eventually will find you. Okay. It may or may not be in this body, but it may, right? But it's a coming. It's a coming. You're creating all the time, and every unrequited desire is manifesting somewhere at some time, even if you are not experiencing it right now. And the more that we recognize that that's so, the more we open ourselves to the possibility that we might experience it sometime really soon, because we'll be aligned with experiencing it in this timeline, in this from this point of attraction. Okay. But there's also a deeper reason why things are always working out, because there's nothing wrong with anything. At your core, in a spiritual sense, you're safe, you're well, you're okay, you're beautiful, you're lovable, you're strong. All of the things that the human world sometimes seems to convince us is not true is just part of the illusion, right? It's just the illusion. It's just the shadow side of who and what we really are, right? Which is eternal love. That's pretty much it, right? And peace and joy. And so when we can tap in more and more to that, then we're living in alignment with the true resting place of our soul. And again, we're going to experience that more and more in this physical form. But the bigger thing the guides say that I got from this experience of watching the game and knowing how it was going to end, or knowing that it was all going to be okay, right, is that I was just relaxed. I was just enjoying the show. I was curious to know how the game was going to play out. I was curious, to see, like, when, we were down so many points, how we were going to get back up, because I knew we were going to win. Right. And so it was very fun in that kind of way, but it wasn't this nail biting, oh my God, everything could be wrong. What's going to happen next? And that's how many of us live our lives. The guys even say that's why so many of us are attracted to sports and things like that, because it sort of mimics and mirrors that kind of constant state of tension and stress that we go through, not believing that, our highest selves will prevail. And on the highest level, they will. They already have, right? Everything is working out exactly right. Just in this moment now, you are okay. You are lovable. You are safe. All is well, right? And again, the more that we can tune into that and live from that presumption, the more delightful life becomes. Because then when we got an obstacle or something going on, rather than panicking, right, we go back to that natural state of well-being and we say, whatever is here, it's part of the fun, it's part of the show. But in the end, everything is going to work out for me. Okay. And again, this may or may not mean in your physical body. Okay. So we gotta let go of that. But it very well may, the guides say. They don't want me to qualify so hard, because they want you to restore faith that things are going your way. Because when you believe that, they will more and more. But what it really is tuning into that true state, that truth that no matter what's happening out there, really and truly, you're all right. You're all right. And even when the worst thing happens, right, and we leave our bodies, right, we change into that other state, right? I've been shown again and again by talking to my spirit friends, they're doing okay, right? They're at peace, right? And you can have that here now too, more and more and more, right? By remembering that core truth that everything is always working out for me, right? And that all is well. And that's the experience I had watching this game, right? I was watching the game and I knew how it was going to end. And it was just fun because I just wasn't stressing about, what was going to happen, because I already knew. I just had to figure out how they were going to get there. And, fast forward to some other games that I watched since that experience. And a few of them have been pre recorded, where I tried not to know how they ended, but then my Facebook, when I picked up or pinged or something, it was in my feed. So I haven't watched or recorded one blind yet. I tried, but I've watched a few, in real time, where even when the Pistons lost, gasp. And, remembering the experience of watching that game with the Celtics helped me remember just how fun it is to watch the game. Just how fun it is to watch the game, to see what's going to happen, to see the ups and downs without this huge attachment, right? To how it has to be and how it has to work out and what has to happen. And without the guide saying, I want to get this right from them, but they say, go ahead, that thing and that feeling in the pit of my stomach, where I feel like I'll be diminished somehow if my team doesn't win. Right. And though on some level that can create some excitement because the unknown is exciting, right? And occasionally I'll read a novel that I don't totally totally know how it'll end, but I'm known to cheat, friends. If I'm watching something and it looks like something bad is going to happen or something I don't like is going to happen, then I'll just ask Google, does this person die? Does this work out? And then usually if it's bad news, I'll fast forward through the icky part or stop watching altogether because I actually like to fill my cup with things that make me feel good. And I'm just not that attracted to the drama so much anymore. I like to feel good as much as possible. And so that's why I gravitate towards these feel good experiences. And yet, when you are watching a basketball game, part of the fun is knowing that maybe they're not going to get every game, and win every game. And that's okay too, because you see here in life, if we look at it from that soul's perspective, your soul knows a couple things that your human self tends to forget. Number one, on the highest level, it's always working out for you. And maybe not even on the highest level, it's just always working out for you. And your soul knows this to be true. Two, your soul doesn't really care about the nitty gritty of how you carry that out, right? It's all a game to your soul. It's all working out. Everything's exactly as it should be. And then it becomes kind of interesting to see like how you're going to play, what you get, right? It's really, really fun. And your soul, the guides say, also doesn't have an attachment to a specific outcome, right? And that's really hard for our human selves to understand, especially, and I'm going to kind of ask this question too, knowing that we come in here to do something, we come in here with an intention. So, guys, does that really mean that your soul doesn't care if you don't achieve your soul's intention? And the guides say that I am in that question, I am completely misunderstanding everything or getting it wrong, is what they're saying. They were saying, if I heard them correctly, I'm misunderstanding everything wrong, which does not make logical sense, but that is literally what I heard. So I'm gonna take a breath so I can hear them really clearly now. And they're just laughing. So as they sometimes do, they must just think I'm really cute right now. But what they're saying is this, and I want to tune back in because I lost the thread altogether. What they're saying with this is when your soul comes in with an intention, with an idea, the main point is to play. You think about it, you're taking a theme, right? And you're exploring that theme from many different angles, right? And maybe you're throwing in some potential obstacles or some potential, right? Because early in life we kind of create, you know, the potential for what we're going to create later on based on the experiences we have early on that tell us how life is supposed to work, right? And they say even those early on experiences are often attracted in by ones that you had in other bodies or other dimensions or other things too, right? So this is a very simplified way of explaining it, but they're saying you have an intention, you have something that is attracted in all of the things that you're experiencing now. And your soul is fascinated about that and excited about that. And remember, all of these lifetimes and things are happening all at the same time, right? So your soul is stretching in all these different directions and doing all these different things and just enjoying all of the movement, all the things that are happening, right? But your soul doesn't really care specifically about what happens. Your soul is just in it for the ride. And it's your human self, right? That experiences those moments of alignment and goes, oh, right? That little, how do I say it? Am I getting this right? They say, yes, go ahead. These little pieces of you, these little, they say waves of intention that ran off to do a little fun path. If you think about it with the analogy that Victoria has given, and you think about your soul as something apart from you, which it isn't, you're just an expression of it and everything's happening at once. But if you think perhaps that there's a piece of you, right, in a higher realm looking down, which they say is a fair approximation of how you could understand things from your vantage point. That little piece of you, which you may call your higher self or your soul, is just enjoying the show. It's loving you, it's cheering you on, it understands what that little piece of you set out to do. And it might be really excited when you make the slam dunk or you make a good play, but it also knows the thing that you have forgotten sometimes, my friends, is that it's all working out and everything's well and everything's working all the time in perfect synchronicity. And no matter what step you take, right? In the end, it's just going to take you back home to all the beautifulness, right? And so your soul can apprehend, which your human self often forgets, that internal rightness, goodness, in everything that is. It doesn't mean that, your soul isn't cheering you on in those moments that you're like, yes, I got this. Absolutely. Right. It just also means that your soul isn't sobbing when you don't get it right. The way, I was kind of sad in the Eastern Conference finals of 19, I feel like it would have been 88. I'd have to Google it when we had it. We had it. We were about to get the Eastern Conference finals. There was just seconds left and we had a 3-point lead or whatever that was. And Larry Bird stole the ball. And that was the end of that championship run for the Pistons. Right. And I don't think a lot of people in Detroit slept that night. It really sucked, or stunk, unless you were a Celtics fan. And then that was probably one of the greatest moments in basketball history. Right. And, that's what your soul understands, right? It's all freaking amazing, right? And it's only your ego that says, it's got to be this way and it's got to be me, right? Because your higher self sees you're in everything, right? And everything is a win and everything is beautiful, right? And so it sees the intrinsic rightness in all that is. So anyway, that's what I was thinking while watching the game. And I thought it was just such a beautiful metaphor of life. And of course, friends, on the human level, we might be disappointed when our team doesn't win. Okay. It might make us sad. And of course, we may have negative experiences when things in our world are difficult or hard or don't go the way we want them to, things big and small. Obviously, a basketball game win or loss is not a super big deal to most of us in the scheme of things, unless, we're a professional basketball player and our livelihood is dependent upon it. Right. But, right. And so in those moments, of course, where you forget that it's all a game and, it's all working out and it's all just beautiful, and that the greatest joy is just living every moment just as it is, and just, coming back to presence each moment and saying, this is so fun. What am I going to do next? Right. But in those moments where we forget that, love yourself, hold yourself, soothe yourself, and then remind yourself all is well and everything is always working out for me. All right, that's all I got on this one. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. And again, if you are a fan of another NBA team or you don't like the NBA at all, I still love you so very much. I'm so grateful to each and every one of you for tuning in and letting me do what I love to do. And I hope this one made your day just a little bit brighter. Love you all and namaste.